let's continue to create our NURBS curves. I'm going to the top-down view, and now I'm going to right-click, select the control vertices, and I'm going to begin to position them along the top view. You see, I'm finding the different lines on the vehicle to line up with. You can see that this one is going to come arching back this way. I'm not going to follow this curve down and then this one, because I want to keep a nice even, what will become a nice even polygonal mesh. So I want to be conscious of where I'm placing my splines for that reason as well. Let's go ahead and see the front of this vehicle. Okay, this one looks nice and following the contour of the vehicle. Alright, the second spline I want to remember is on the high point of my fender there, so I can see that in shadow a little bit. Bring that around for that purpose. Okay, you can see the difference in the highlight there. I'll go ahead and pull that to define that. Alright, and then this one is down on the side of the body. Continue along this line. Position that spline as close as possible. Placing splines is a little different than positioning your verts on a mesh. As you place the splines, you can see that they're not exactly attached to the different edit points. So you'll need to go back and check to make sure that after you move them, that they are still in the position that you want them to be. This one over a little bit too. Oops. Alright. So as you work your vehicle, you will be finding the positioning of your splines as you work. And I'll bring this up just like that. So if you find that you just have too many verts, you can always just go back in and delete one. Sometimes that will give you a smoother curve. Alright, now once we have those in position, we're going to want to check the side again. And you can see that over here in the process of positioning this spline, that got kind of wonky, so I'm going to go ahead and put that back a little bit. Alright, and let's go ahead and do the same with this. Alright, now once you have what you think is a nice curve, you'll want to go ahead and view that in your perspective, which will give you a clear view of your splines, and you'll be able to see anything that's not quite, it's maybe got a little bit of an angular angle to that. So we can go back in and sort of just tweak on that a little bit more. Alright, you'll want to spend a reasonable amount of time getting your splines in place. The reason for that is that your mesh, what will become your mesh, will be directly related to the nice smooth surface that you're creating now. And I'll give you a preview of that as we select our splines consecutively and we go up here to Surfaces Loft. You'll be able to see that because of the way that these splines are currently laid out and the edit points on them, you can see that there's some of the surface that's not acting properly. So some of that has to do with the way the splines are positioned, some of it has to do with where the edit points are, and all of that can be fixed. And as we work through this process, I will show you how to do that. Let's undo this, and let's take a look at the position of our edit points on all of these. So you can see that they appear to be lined up reasonably well, and that's important because those will become your edge loops on your mesh. You can also see that we have some edit points that I have deleted, so that leaves some potential edge loops without the number of vertices that we need. So we can fix that pretty easily by going ahead and adding those, or we can rebuild these splines, and that's something that you'll be doing quite a bit of, is rebuilding your splines. So let's go ahead and look at that right now. Alright, now we have 12 spans on this particular we have 13 on this spline and 13 on this spline. So what we'll do is go ahead and rebuild curve. Under edit curves, rebuild curve, bring up the options, and we can go ahead and keep the number low for the time being. We'll go ahead and say 14 on that, and we want that rebuild type uniform. We're using keep ends. We're also the degrees cubic, and you can keep original or not. And I'm going to go ahead and rebuild that. So now when we right click, control verts, and look at that, you can see that those are more evenly spaced. Now that will change the curve somewhat, so you can go back in here and edit that a little bit if you choose. But once you have that rebuilt to 14, you can go ahead and rebuild all of these to the same number and evenly space them, so that when you do come back in here, select on these consecutively and build your surface, then you will get a little bit better result. So as we continue to work and get more and more surfaces in here, or curves in here, and building this surface, you can see how well that's going to create your initial surfaces. Alright, let's go back and continue working on our curves. Now let's go ahead and shape up these wheel wells here, and then I will show you how to connect one spline to another, which is very important as you're working through getting the shapes of your vehicle. So what I'm going to do is, with the curve selected, I'm going to select curve point, and then if I click on that curve, you can see that red dot there. That's adding a knot, and I'm just going to go right up here and add a knot there, and if I hold shift key down, I can add another knot over here. And then what I can do is come up here to detach curves. There we go. And what that does is detach that portion of the curve from that portion of the curve. Select that, delete it, we don't need it. And then we can right click control points over here and move these into position. So simple edit there. Alright, and I'm going to also do that to this curve. Okay, and I'm looking for the top of the wheel well where it actually meshes. It's going to come up and around and give a nice smooth curve around the front of the wheel well there. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and attach curves again and select that portion of it, delete it. And the next thing I'm going to do is attach this curve to that one. Alright, so holding your C key down, you go ahead and with your translate tool on, you can go ahead and snap that to your spline. And sometimes it takes a couple of times. You just drag it over to that. There it goes. So you can see it traveling along that spline now. So I just want it on the very top of the curve. So you can see that's a nice curve going down and around there. Alright. Now we're going to work on the wheel wells a little bit more. Let's check this in perspective. Yes, they're still on the front, so I'm going to top-down view, and I'm going to go ahead and put those where they belong. Right now, on the outside of the car there is where the body shape is, so we'll go ahead and start there. Now this one, before I cut that to make it part of this contour, I'm going to duplicate that. So Control D, and go ahead and set that back a little bit, and go back to the side view. Now I can line that up a little bit more, and I'll come back in here and right click curve point. I'll put my curve point on there, and then detach curves. Okay, I don't need this part any longer, so delete that off of there. Go ahead and snap that C key down. I'm going to snap that onto that. Alright, now it's traveling along that spline. Put it at the high point there. And now I'm going to select both curves and say attach. Alright, so that played with the shape a little bit. So we'll just go take a couple of seconds here and put that back the way we like it. Alright, so move that back up into the wheel well there. Alright, so we're getting some shape in there for the vehicle now. You can go ahead and do the same thing back here for the back wheel well.